Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Hi. I just want to let you know that I first became homeless at 16 years of age, and it was around 1972. I lived in foster care homes most of my life, and at 16 I got in trouble in school, and they threw me out, and the foster care system gave me a choice. You either get emancipated or you go to school. And I took the emancipation, which meaning at 16 you could be legally on your own, and anyways, I was seeing a doctor at the time. I quit going to the doctor, the psychiatrist, and the regular medical doctor, and I've been homeless off and on for about 30 years of my life, okay? 30 years, up until 7 years ago. I never really had a place of my own. I was a hitchhiker. I would hitchhike around the country, looking for odd jobs and places to live, and but it never really worked out. And then I came to Washington, D.C. And I was in Washington, D.C. for about, I guess, 3-4 years, living in a park by the White House. It was close by the White House. And I was spare changing some money from this lady, and this lady told me about Friendship Place. And Friendship Place is a drop-in center for the homeless. And I went there. They asked me what my needs were. I got to see a psychiatrist to get back on medicine. I have epilepsy, so I got to get back on my epilepsy medicine. I was doing real good, doing that. And then came along Anne Frank. Anne Frank, they said, that if I would like to have an interview with them. And I said, sure. But what do I have to do? What do I have to do to get this apartment? And they said, well, just let us interview you and see what's happening. And so we went in for the interview and we talked, and anyways, I took an apartment, a studio apartment. For the first time in my life, I got junk mail. Okay? For the first time in my life, I was in the phone book. And it sounds silly, but to a person who's never had that before, it's an accomplishment. I am no longer a homeless statistic. I am a part of the community. And this is what Anne Frank has done for me. Okay? They keep tabs on me. And I try to keep tabs on them, but they're all over the place. But, having my own place, I can get up in the morning. I don't have to worry about where I'm going to sleep the night before. I don't have to worry about what I'm going to eat. I don't have to worry about getting harassed by the police or harassed by any other person. I am home. As a matter of fact, I got basic cable TV. And I'm so involved in that basic TV that I go wild sometimes. But you see, as long as I stay on my medicines, I'm okay. As long as I continue to take my medicines, I can be a part of the community. But once I'm off those medicines, I'm no good. You never know where you find me. I just might drift off somewhere else. You know, go back to the streets where my mind takes me. You know, but for the first time in my life, I know that I have a warm place to live thanks to Anne Frank. You know, I know that I wake up in the morning and I got food to eat. I know if I need to talk to somebody, I have Joe. You know, thank you very much.
Does anybody have any questions of Hazel or George or myself? George is great with questions. Yes.
I guess this would be for one of you two. You pride yourself, it seems, a lot on permanence. You have 11 units, I guess. And my guess is that there are far more than 11 people in the DC area who would have like these kind of needs. But it seems like it would be a wonderful stepping stone for somebody if they, just to give them a small leg up for a little bit of time. But yet you pride yourself on permanent housing. So I wonder why. That seems like it had to be a choice that you made at some point. So why do you choose to make that choice rather than the temporary housing program?
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, Hazel. I mean, I think a lot of it is you just sort of, as an organization, unfortunately, we can't do everything for everybody. And I don't know, way back when, I think that was a need that was presented to us, and it worked out well for our organization. There are other places that do transitional stuff, and they're usually transitioning into our situation. Believe me, if we could do transitional housing as well, we would love to do so. It's just that the other thing is about an all-volunteer organization is we have to be a little bit more specialized because we just don't have the staff to be able to sort of be as multifaceted as we might like. I don't know if I'm answering it well, but was that why there was a choice to go with permanent as opposed to transitional?
Yeah, no, I think I answered.
I don't know what the actual rationale was, because it was before I was with the organization, but I know that right now, we have to focus on one thing, because it's a very, very, very complex organization to be all volunteer, and so you just don't know how much involvement with everything there is. I mean, case management, the housing, and just everything else. So right now, we just sort of have to focus on that one area.
More questions?
Do you think we're...
I think we had some other questions when we talked before.
I might want to add one thing. Personally, when I am asked to give money to an organization or to a nonprofit or whatever, I mean, one of the first things that I'm always looking for is how much overhead there is. And as I think Hazel emphasized, and in our organization, the only person we're paying is our part-time bookkeeper, who, by the way, charges us so much less than the amount of hours she puts in because she's committed to the organization. I mean, she puts in tremendous hours, and I don't know, she probably charges us for half her time. So that you know that all the money that goes to our organization goes to serving our population. And our primary goal, we are sort of goal-oriented. We just want to try and do whatever we can to be able to house more people.
You mentioned in the presentation a couple of the organizations that you get support from. If we weren't able to give the full $8,000, how would that affect what you'd be able to do in the future or in your program?
I think that it would probably slow the process of adding more people. I mean, that's we are just always in the business of trying to provide more housing, and we figure it takes about $10,000 or $11,000 per resident per year. And if we get, $10,000 or $11,000 more than we had the previous year, that we had this.
I mean, our priorities are clearly being sure that our mortgages and our rents are covered, and that our social service costs are covered. And as soon as we can get beyond
deal with people who want to come into the Anne Frank house when you're kind of already full? How do you deal with it?
Our referrals come from Friendship Place, which is the case management organization. So, I mean, there's always more. Hazel's gotten many calls from
I had one yesterday.
from people, you know, and again, it's a situation where, believe me, there'll always be more homeless people than providers like us. So what we do is, because we don't have the expertise in psychology or social services that Friendship Place does. Friendship Place is the organization, it's the Community Council for the Homeless at Friendship Place. They are the ones that sort of make recommendations as to who would be the most appropriate.
They're the ones who directed me to
Right.
Friendship Place is the ones who directed me to Anne Frank House. You know, I mean, they were the connection, because I was going to Friendship Place for psychiatric help, medical help, you know, and all kinds of stuff. But, you know, they're the ones who connected me to Anne Frank, you know.
One of the things also, I mean, our organization requires certain things of our residents. I mean, one of the things is that, for example, if George goes off his meds and stops going to case management, we have an agreement that says he can be released from the program or whatever. So one of the things that Friendship Place does is recommend people that are far enough along that they can respond appropriately to an organization like